Hey, Coach, how's it going today?
What's up, Ron? How you doing, man?
Good, good. You look at this game coming up this weekend, Power Five opponent coming in. There's been so many reports out there about a potential second wave of Big 12 expansion. I would assume a good performance by you guys, would give you guys kind of a leg up there. I mean, look at this game as a whole. How much of an opportunity is this for your team?
Yeah, we're just focused about the next opportunity. All the other stuff that we don't control, we don't worry about. What we control is what we learned from our last opportunity and applying it this week and getting ourselves prepared the best we can to, face a very, very good opponent here on the blue on Saturday.
And you guys announced that Scale was taking his leave of absence before the game. I'm curious at this point, do you guys expect to have him back at this season?
We've released a statement. That's all we're going to say.
Sure. Okay. Thanks, Coach.
How's it going, Andy?
What's up, Jay?
Andy, this is obviously a big opportunity. There's never been a Pac-12 opponent to come play you guys on the blue before. And I know it goes back to that control week and control thing, but how big of an opportunity is this to get a team like this to the blue and play them in front of Bronco Nation?
Yeah, I mean, it's an unbelievable opportunity, for Bronco Nation in the Valley and to be able to, to be able to get games like this to come into our stadium and the type of opponent, the history, the tradition, the players that they've had go through this program, and obviously the coach that has been very, very consistent, for some time now. We got a great challenge in front of us. We know that our fan base, these are the type of games that excite them. So to be able to have one here on our, in Boise is an unbelievable opportunity.
It's kind of a $1 million question that you guys have made look pretty easy to solve this year so far. Why have you guys been so good at forcing turnovers this year? When you were here as the defensive coordinator, some years that you struggled to do it, and your last couple, you were really, really good at it. And this year, you've gotten off to a great start. So why have you been so good at it this year, and how do you sustain it?
Well, I mean, I think just what you emphasize is what you get. And there's other things too that we got to, step it up on, Jay, with how we're emphasizing, how we're teaching, how we're modeling, and how we're really rewarding. And the coaching staff has done a good job rewarding takeaways in terms of taking opportunities at the ball in practice and being able to take multiple attempts throughout practice. And there's a certain number that we're always trying to hit in terms of ball searches throughout practice and having fun doing it, but also being under control, having great body control. And at the same time, it's a healthy balance between ball searches and practicing our tackling.
Thanks, Andy.
How's it going, Andy?
What's up, BJ?
Hey, I wanted to ask about Riley Wimpy's targeting call. That was obviously a very, tough play there, and it confirmed it really quick, too. I mean, there's nothing you can do. You can't appeal it. But what'd you think of that call, and what's it mean to not have a team leader, a linebacker like that for the first half in a game like this?
Yeah, we were obviously in the same situation last week for the first half. It's some of these bang plays, especially this one, the ball carrier got his legs taken from him and his helmet went down. And it was a bang play. It was a physical play. And so we've just got to continue to rep these situations and make sure that when we're making contact, we're making contact with our shoulder. Sometimes the speed of the game and things like that, we're going to be put in situations that are very tough in terms of playing fast and physical. And there is going to be big collisions like that. We just got to keep teaching it, again, emphasizing it, making sure that we're emphasizing the target zone from the numbers down to the knees, and that we're all the things that we are repping within practice and within team periods, not only within team periods, but controlled settings and individual and group settings that we're emphasizing those things.
Other than maybe his dad, I don't think many people would have picked Tyler Crow would be leading the team in rushing after 2 games. I mean, how do you look at the ground game and what you really guys need to do to really try to get that going? Yeah,
there's no question. It is a huge emphasis, and the consistency that we had with the guys last week in terms of practice and through the game, and this week will be the first time that we're going into back-to-back weeks with a consistent lineup. So we're excited about that. That's what it starts with. And now being able to build the depth into that And we know that, hey, it's gonna be tough sledding this week as well. They got a tremendous D line. Their linebackers are experienced, great read and react players. And so week in and week out, we're going to have to find ways that we can run the ball to our strengths, but as well, we said it before, we're an RPO team. So some of those pass plays too, those are our run yards. That's the bottom line. That's college football these days. And if certain teams are going to stack the box of people and leave some matchups on the outside and commit more bodies to the box, then that's where we're going to have to get our run yards as well.
John, and then Mike and Will.
Thank you. Coach, was George on any type of a pitch count this week going into this game?
Yeah, he was. We were happy to have him out there though. And so,
yeah.
Yep. It's part of the progression, return to play for him for his situation that he had been dealing with for the past couple of weeks. He was real close in the first game, but it wasn't the right thing to do. He had not reached full speed in some time. So we are excited to have him back out there, and we should be beyond that now. He's in shape. He'll be able to, get 2 weeks of practice underneath his belt where he's in shape, and, fatigue won't be a concern.
Did you notice a difference watching the tape when he was in there? I mean, he averaged 4.4 yards a carry. Can you tell, is 5 attempts enough, Coach, to be able to tell, it looked different when he was there?
I mean, we've seen, obviously, John, we got the advantage to see what he looks like in practice all over the course of the year and when he moves. So he's a talented player. He can make things happen. His combination of his change of direction, his ability to accelerate, for example, the perimeter run play that he scored on when he had a defender run on him in the alley, made a miss, accelerated in the defenders pursuing, could not catch up to him even when he stopped his feet to make the defender miss. I mean, just things like that are different. And, obviously getting him back healthy and being able to getting him in the game more is a to-do. We have other running backs too that have done a really nice job though as well. I mean, Andrew Van Buren, handling the shorter yardage situations and being a big back that can pound it up in there and finish has been awesome as well.
Shea Oladipo, true freshman, making some big plays. Did you guys see this coming? Obviously, him being on the 2 deep as one of the only true freshmen on there, and then now all of a sudden he's just a playmaker, huh?
Well, John, slow down a little, man. We got to make sure that we keep growing him in the right direction. He did the other night, but for a freshman, that can change real fast. He is in the 2 deep, like you said. He got here in January, graduated early. Spring ball, he was trying to figure it out, but you can see that he could. John, where it was very obvious was in fall camp. He made a huge jump. And in the last couple of weeks here, and where we see it too is on special teams, right? So we've seen him. If you can do it on special teams and you can play fast and physical on special teams, then you can do it on defense. And given the situation that we were talking about with Kakala in the first half, it gave him an opportunity not only to rep his normal position at field, but also to take some nickel reps. And it was awesome to see. But we just got to keep building his habits so that he can continue to grow. There's some things that when you really look at the film that we can't do again this next week coming up. But those 2 takeaways, and the third opportunity he had was an unbelievable recognition by him in terms of that pocket movement and that situation down there. He just got his eyes around just a hair late. Otherwise, he would have had the hat trick.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Thank you, buddy.
Andy, let's talk about Hank a little bit. In your post-game press conference the other night, you called him unbelievable. From our perspective, he's made one mistake. From your perspective, how's he been playing?
Everything we've asked him to grow at, that's what I'm talking about. Behind the scenes, obviously everybody doesn't get to see everything in the building, the expectations and the standards and how he leads not only himself, but how he leads the team. The accountability that we're asking him to operate with every day and to have fun doing that. And do it within his own skin. And that's what we're excited about. And really, Jack as well. Jack's done an unbelievable job helping lead behind the scenes. And we look forward to continuing to see him do that. And you know what, sometimes, you know what it is, Mike, you've watched this game long enough. You got to make mistakes and move forward sometimes. And that's the end of, that's the bottom line. He'll be a much better player for everything that he's gone through in the last, not only this year, but the last couple of years here. And you learn from your past experiences. You got to be able to apply it to your future, to get the outcomes you want.
The fun word. You mentioned the word fun. Not a lot of coaches use that word. How much do you play off the fact that Hank is this kind of fun little quote unquote goofball that he talks about? How much do you coach that up? How much do you need that from him to be Hank Bachmeier? He's
that way off the field, but he's not that way on the field. He's totally different on the field. His presence and his command, he commands the huddle. And when it's time to go and he's operating, there, make no question, it is his intent, his purpose. He has fun doing it, but there is no silliness about it now when he's on the field. And that has been awesome to see him come into his own that way. And then obviously being off the field too, just having a healthy balance of being able to enjoy what we do, although extremely demanding. And let's be honest, I mean, the position he plays, you're either extremely right, you're extremely wrong, and not listening to what people say, but finding the balance in what he's doing and how he's growing. And that's the most important thing for him.
Targeting, not specifically the call the other night, because I'm sure you can't go into that, but your thoughts on the rule, your thoughts on how the rule is interpreted, how it's executed on the field, and just general thoughts about losing Riley on the first half on Saturday night.
Yeah, we've just got to do an unbelievable job emphasizing the strike zone. And from the standpoint, there are going to be bang plays where things happen, and that's Riley's situation. Caller comes in, outside in tackle, takes the ball carrier's feet. Ball carrier goes down extremely fast. Riley's probably in the target zone. At the end of the day, he hits him high. And not only does he hit him high, but he hit him hard. And, the ball carrier bounced off the ground. And when we're in those situations and how the game is interpreted and the rules are today, you're probably going to get flagged for those things, right, wrong, and different. All we can do is keep emphasizing and teaching to strike within, whether we're blocking or whether we're tackling within this the strike zone, which again is from the numbers to the knees. And the more we keep working on that, our guys will continue to play fast, and hopefully we can eliminate some of these situations, Mike. But yeah, just like we found a way, to not only manage through the first half last week without K-Call, but we turned it into a positive and got other guys reps. Shea got more reps. There's, Rodney got more reps. And so through situations like this, you got to find the positive and make the most of it.
Andy, thank you.
Will. Hey, Andy, what have you seen out of Oklahoma State quarterback Spencer Sanders?
Well, he was this last week, right? And then last year. So, number one, a guy that's played a lot of football, an experienced player that can do it. He can extend plays with his legs. He can be a factor in the run game, and he's obviously been in that system long enough within the pass game that they're able to create explosive plays. So you got a quarterback that has a ton of experience and is been coached by really good coaches. So we're gonna have a tremendous challenge on our hands.
2 games into the season, what have you been most impressed by with JL Skinner?
You know what, his physicality and his consistency within his coverage, especially for a bigger guy. I think he's really developed from last year in terms of his ability to transition and change direction for being a bigger guy. A lot of times bigger, longer, taller guys like that don't transition as quite as well as he does. His physicality, again, I think just looking for him to continue to grow with his consistency, and the little things within certain techniques and stuff like that. And he, if he stays on this track, he will continue to grow over the course of the year, and he'll end up having a tremendous season. He's made a lot of tackles and been around the ball in the run game. That's been awesome as well.
Thanks, Andy.
Coach, getting back to Riley Wimpy, what are you going to miss most without him being in there in the first half?
I mean, his ability to communicate and lead. I mean, just experience-wise, the backups don't have that experience that Riley's had in game time. And so, we'll be able to have it. It'll be awesome for guys to be able to step up and step in his shoes. That's what happens. That's football. We're going to focus on that. We'll focus on getting Riley ready for the second half and make sure that he gets the amount of reps that he's going to need to be ready to go, but also getting the guys reps that, will play in the first half. And again, through this, we find positives. Certain guys are going to have to step up. Certain guys will, and they'll make the most of their opportunity.
As you've looked at Oklahoma State through 2 games, Coach, what stands out? What impresses you most?
Well, I would say that, their O-line is good. Their run game, they typically have, an O-line that can control the line of scrimmage. Their running backs is one of the strengths of their team overall. They got a few ball carriers there that run behind their pads and got some elite speed. And so it always starts with the run game with this team. Then it's the RPOs and the play actions that come off of the run game. They will have some formations, some game plan formations that we're going to have to adjust to, whether those be unbalanced formations or certain formations that they feel like they can gain leverage on our defense. So we're going to have to do a really, really good job, staying on top of that stuff early on in the game and identifying those.
Didn't mention special teams at all. Last time we were there, they pretty much won that battle. So they had a touchdown this week, just like you did. Thoughts on their special teams?
They attack on special teams, and that's the one thing that I know, the mentality they play with. Again, we did not. We cannot have those situations pop up on special teams. In terms of the 2 punts and those getting blocked the last time we played there, we've got to do a much better job for ourselves, creating opportunities for us to have impactful plays on the game like that through special teams. And that's something that Coach Collins, our special teams coordinator, has done an unbelievable job of through the course of this year in the first couple games. But when you're playing opponents like this, every phase matters, and especially special teams.
Thanks for your time, Coach.
Paul J.
Coach, they're kind of a yards after contact team, running the RPO. Quarterback runs the ball quite a bit, especially on 3rd down. Their wide receivers catch short passes and rely on breaking tackles. Is tackling going to be really more important than usual on Saturday?
We didn't tackle well last time either, Paul J. Last time we played them, that was one of our biggest issues, is tackling. So even today, as always, it's a priority, and we spent time on that today. We did tackle well early on in last week's game as well. So there's a few things tackling wise that we got to emphasize and shore up and clean up and rep through the course of this week, because it is going to be a big deal in this game. They notoriously are a physical team in terms of the ball carriers. And again, we did not do a good job last time we played them with tackling. So on both sides of the ball for us, our offense has got to be able to have great ball security and get yards, after contact as well. And we got to take care of the ball. And on defense, it is tackle football. We got to do an unbelievable job preparing ourselves that way this week.
You're favored by 4 against a Big 12 team. I don't think that's happened before. How do you feel about that?
I couldn't even tell you what we were favored or not favored, to be honest with you. So I haven't thought much about it because I didn't even know about it.
Sign of respect?
You know what? I think at the end of the day, how we prepare each and every day this week is going to determine, how well we can take advantage of our opportunity on Saturday. And it's going to be the same for them on the other side. So we are excited, Paul J., about the growth we're making. And again, the care factor that the players are showing to do the things that we need to do to grow. And that's really what we're focused on.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, we have time for a few follow-ups. Let's just keep it at 1 per person. So we'll start with Jay and then go BJ.
Andy, this offseason, Daniel Cantrell went out and basically refashioned the Dan Paul hammer. How fitting is it that that specific, tradition is now handmade by a Bronco versus kind of, a store-bought piece of hardware. And what was your reaction when you saw it?
Well, he texted me, he was just finishing it up before we went into camp in August, just before August started. He said, "Coach, I'm almost done with this thing. I'm gonna bring it by the office. My dad and I, we just got a couple more things left to do. Check it out." So I'm like, yeah, there's someone who can probably make a pretty sweet hammer to carry on the tradition. That's Danny and his dad. So he brings it through in the office, and we already knew he was going to carry out the hammer for the first game. He didn't know that, but he brought it by and he was showing us, and they did a nice job. And we're looking at it. We're like, awesome. Slapped him on the back, gave it back to him. He gave it to Coach Collins, didn't say anything to him about carrying it out in the first game. And then we had a team meeting and announced that he would carry that thing out, rightfully so, because he is our special teams leader on the team. He is in our leadership group, not only for making the hammer, but what he does, how he works, what he's contributed to this team, who he is, how consistent he is every day, the mentality he brings. And so it's a pretty nice piece of work, Jay. And, it symbolizes too who he is as well.
Thanks, Andy.
Andy, you mentioned it briefly after the game, the crowd the other night, but just for this game, I guess it's going to be probably an even bigger crowd, a sellout. And I know you've been a part of some big time atmosphere, whether it was when Coach Pete came back or the Wazoo game, some of the BYU games. I mean, what when Albertson Stadium is capacity and it's a huge game like this, and you have the anticipation, all week, all day, Saturday, how special is it to be in there, and how special are you expecting it, and how much do you need the crowd to give you guys that boost on Saturday night?
Yeah, BJ, there's no question. I mean, that's what we're talking about, when people refer to home field advantage and building and establishing that to be known here at Boise State, the blue, what does it mean to be on the blue? What does it mean to protect the blue, to play on the blue, and to be in Albertson Stadium? For Bronco Nation is creating, one of the best game day atmospheres, in terms of the energy in the stadium, how loud it is when the defense is playing on the field and special teams. That's huge. It obviously gives us that home field advantage, but you know what? That's why the guys work as hard as they do year round. That's why the coaches work as hard as they do year round. It's something different, to be able to play in a stadium like that makes all the hard work worth it.
Coach, I think we asked you about this in the spring, but with all the turnovers that you guys have had already this season, have you given any more thought to bringing back a tradition like the turnover throne or anything like that?
Oh, it's around. I'll tell you that, Ryan. It is around. So it did just this summer. It got sold, but it's still around and it's still available. So for good reasons, it got auctioned off this summer, and I think it sold for like $12,000. So we do have the availability to bring it back though, and it's pretty cool the way the coaches are building in this mentality about how we're attacking the ball, and how important it is, not only to attack the ball, but to take care of it when we get it in our hands. And that's another part too. Shea was carrying that football around this morning during stretch lines to make sure that he knows how to secure it when he gets it. But it's important. It is, again, it's tackle football. So tackling is important, and having the ball, securing the ball, and taking the ball is as well.
Any idea who bought the throne?
Yes, one of the executives for Albertsons. And if anybody wants to see the throne, I believe it will be at the Albertsons here just by the stadium.
Like when? Like today?
On game days.
Oh, game days. Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, no problem.
Are there any other follow-ups?
I got one more quick one if we have time.
Go for it.
You guys lead the country, I think, in interception return yardage, and you guys seem like you have this mentality for whether it be a fumble, whether it be the interception, that your guys aren't just happy getting the ball. You guys are taking off down the field right away and trying to get some yards. We've seen that in both games, obviously. What's the mentality there, and about not just wanting to secure the ball, but as a defense, try to move up the field and get some more yardage?
I can't give all the secrets. I don't think Coach D would be happy with me. But there's a whole plan for the return, BJ. it's not just, like you said, not just getting it. There's a whole plan in place for the return and how we're going to operate and the effort and the diligence we put into doing that. And you know what? We've been grateful. We can't get ahead of ourselves on the takeaways. We got to continue to practice it every day. And because we need those. I mean, they're huge for momentum. Again, the last 4 minutes of the first half this past week, they were huge for us because we could have been right back in a situation that we didn't do as well in the first game, and we were able to capitalize this week, and we just got to keep building off of that, man.
All right, that's all we got. We'll let you go, Coach. Thank you so much.
Sorry, Jay. I was going to take it, man. Jay, come on. Sarah, let him have it.
All right, go for it. Jay's the last one, though.
All right, sorry. Andy, last week, your defensive, actually all your assistant coaches for that matter, it seemed like they kind of accepted a lot of responsibility for what happened against UCF. And the players, one way or another, kind of seemed to hear that. And Khalil said that that made them want to go out and practice even harder last week. You also mentioned the word care factor earlier today. Is there a way that you can measure care factor? And did you see your players respond to the way the coaches handle things after UCF?
Yeah, I mean, it always starts with us. I mean, there's things that we can always do better. And it's you know, that's part of being a teacher. We're people call us coaches, but we're teachers. And if we're going to teach, then we got to be constantly evaluating not just what we're doing, but how we're doing it, the progressions, how we're speaking, the unintended consequences of doing things a certain way, and just being mindful of those. And you know what, being out in front, always being detailed with how we evaluate so that we can see, well, whoa, maybe there's a situation that's going to pop up that we don't intend to pop up in terms of a result because of the way we're doing things. And we got to be out in front of that stuff. And the coaches here are competitors just like the players, and we want to get it right too. And our players are unbelievable. Whatever we ask them to do, they do. Whatever they need help from us, we figure out a way to get it for them. And then we just got to keep growing that way and have another unbelievable week of practice.
Thank you, Andy.
All right, guys, have a great week. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Andy.
Yes, Coach.